They say keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Today on Car Passion, after 7 years of talking trash about Mustangs, I'll be driving the 435 horsepower Mustang GT Premium package to see what this beast is all about. And at the end of the video, we're gonna see if the old dusty Miata can give it a run for its money. Alright, so this car belongs to my friend Raul. Some of you may know him from one of my very first Miata videos as the lint roller guy, but more importantly, Raul is who sold me the broken boosted Miata. So you guys can thank him for giving me a killer deal on this car. Now, before we go and drive your beautiful 2015 Mustang, I'm gonna grill you with some questions about it. Alright, so let's talk about the decisions that led you to buying this Mustang. You've had a bunch of cars in your lifetime. You've had 2 Miatas, you had a Volkswagen Golf, you had an E46, you were big into Stance for a while, then you got a Ford Fusion, and we kind of thought we were going to lose you on that one. We thought you were going full grandpa status, but then you totally redeemed yourself buying this Mustang right here. So what made you want a Mustang?
So like you said, I was really into Stance cars, and I still do. Trust me, when I see cars out there, I always try to point them out and say, damn, that looks really cool and whatnot. But I think after a while, after the couple years of me, you know, driving a lot, commuting a lot, I think just dealing with the whole roads of San Diego, speed bumps, you know, try to see where I can even go actually, because sometimes I had to park outside in the main road, which kind of sucked. So fortunately, after a while, I think it was just time for me to kind of like leave that scene, hence why I got a Ford Fusion. But after a year and a half of owning that vehicle, I think it was just time to get back into the game and get into a whole different atmosphere. And I think for that reason why I ended up getting the 5.0. And the 5.0s, I've always had a soft spot in my heart as well, because I basically grew up with them. And you had a Fiat 500 Abarth too, and you had a lot of fun with that car because it was your first like higher performance car, and you were able to do modifications to it. It was turbo and everything, but it also gave you a lot of headaches. So would you say that's kind of part of your decision, that you wanted to go to something that was still going to be fast and modifiable, but probably be a lot less of a pain than what the Fiat was? Oh, definitely. I mean, the Fiat was a fun car, trust me. And at the time, I thought I was really, really fast. I was, what, maybe like 220 wheel horsepower. I thought it was like smashing. But until I got this car, it changed my life completely. Even though that it's bone stock, it just blows my mind every single time that I drive it. 5.0 has so far been really good to me, and I just can't wait for what the future brings to it. So the big question that everyone wants to know the answer to is, do you think the 5-liter can hang with the Miata? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've seen you race at Race Lego. I've seen all those clips. I've seen it in person myself. So I don't want to walk around with a big head and say like, yeah, I got him, but we'll see. I want to do a couple races that are just going to kind of compare the power of the Miata to the Mustang. You've only had the Mustang for what, like a couple weeks? So I'm not going to be like, oh, like we need to do a dig race and we're going to be doing like launch control and all that. Like I just want to kind of compare the power. And I think the Mustang is going to have a good advantage off the line. So I want to do like a roll race from like maybe 10 miles an hour, because that's where the Miata really struggles with traction and shifting and everything. And the Mustang, it just has computers on board, it's got traction control and a lot of stuff that really helps it. So it's a lot more than just what's on paper, how much power and how much weight the car has to it. I don't know, we're just gonna have fun and do a comparison. But before we do that, I'm gonna take this thing out and see what it's all about. Let's roll. All right, so 2015 Mustang GT, here we are. Why are you looking back from the corner? You can just look at the camera.
Like looking back, there's just a camera right there. Dude, I'm not used to all this modern technology. Alright, so I see you've got factory oil pressure gauge. That's a pretty track-oriented thing. That's real cool. So explain to me, what are all these high-tech switches here? What am I looking at?
So this one, as I said earlier, mode is basically just for the suspension feeling.
Okay.
You have the difference between sport, track, and snow/wet.
So if I flip this,
yeah, upwards.
Driving mode, normal, sport plus, track, snow and wet. Okay. I'm gonna do Sport Plus for our drive here.
And then the other switch is the steering wheel feeling. So basically, if you're hitting the corners and whatnot, it's either Sport Plus, track, or snow/wet as well.
Okay.
And then this one's just traction control, and then just emergency.
Okay, we'll leave traction control on. We don't need to be getting too wild. Maybe we'll see if we can give launch control a little test later. Am I gonna scrape?
No, you're good.
The splitter looks boss on this thing, by the way.
Thank you.
All right, so this is my first real drive in a Coyote Mustang. I hear lots of good things about them. I know I talk a lot of smack about Mustangs on the channel, but I really don't have anything against them.
It's just a smooth.
Dude. I can't believe how good that sounds. It sounds like, not saying it sounds bad on the outside, but I did not expect it to sound that good inside the car.
Inside the cabin. Yeah, it's not too loud or too quiet. I think it's just perfect.
So it's a 6-speed manual gearbox, which is nice. So obviously the exhaust is not stock. What do you have done to the exhaust?
Just for now, I just have a regular muffler delete, but I do plan on getting the Corsa Extreme catback, because I do plan on going full bolt-on with headers and whatnot, because I do plan on going E85 soon.
And we have plenty of E85 in San Diego, so that's actually a reasonable mod. I didn't mean to interrupt you. We just had a nice section of clear road here.
It just keeps going, right? Like I feel like the gears are really long.
It feels like it's geared very well. I think the GT has shorter gearing maybe than the other ones, or maybe it's the premium. I haven't really looked into it too much. Now let's see if I can stall it off of this green light here. The power delivery is super smooth. It's so different compared to what I'm used to with the Turbo Miata. Even though it's built for spool up and having a very fat power band, the V8 power band is still very different. It's just like, you get on the power, all the power is right there, and it just lasts the whole gear. It's just a very flat, nice
compared to
pull.
the turbo where you have to wait for it to.
Yeah.
I can tell the difference when there's no more to this.
Dude, I can't get over the sound. It sounds so good. I actually thought about getting a Coyote for a while, just because I think the Mustang just keep pushing it farther and farther. It keeps looking better and better. My problem with Mustangs in the past, 10 plus years ago, is I never felt like they really had enough horsepower. Even though the power band is really flat, it's a great car. It makes a ton of torque right off the line. It makes it very fun to drive, but I just never felt like the horsepower was there. And now we're in the great horsepower race. We have all these factory cars making big power, and I feel like the Mustang is keeping up with that. And this is a very reasonable power level. It's a respectable amount of power for a stock car, and the aftermarket seems huge already.
There's a lot of parts out there for the 5.0s, and like you were saying, it's just not only the power, but you have the comfortability in this vehicle. I mean, I'm really picky. You know me, I like to have my driver assist features and all that stuff. So I mean, AC seats, heated seats, all that. This car has it.
Down at, below 3,500, you get into it, and all your power is just right there. Any newer car, especially like a higher level car like this, it's gonna be way nicer than the Miata will ever be to drive. Like, as far as a daily driven car, I'll be the first to admit that the Miata is a horrible daily driver. It's got just a lot of vibration in general with aggressive motor mounts. It's got big exhaust. It's got so much aftermarket stuff to it, and even in completely factory form, the Miata is really not a nice car to drive daily.
It looks good overall, though. I love it. It smells good too. E85.
Raul following me on the way here, just huffing E85. That's just fun. It's just a fun car.
Sounds so good.
I feel like they hit it right.
So I just think it's a little good feature that it comes with.
Yeah, it just pulls strong right up to the limiter. I think a lot of people have misconceptions that V8s are just all torque right off the line, and then they kind of fall on their face. But V8s really have come a long way. Just since F-body Camaros that would just had they had plenty of torque, but just horrible horsepower numbers. And I know there's that's this fast. Dude, I'd be downshifting just everywhere if I had this thing. Do some mods, we're definitely gonna have to do pulls again. Yeah. Everyone wants to see pulls, so that's part of why I had Raul come out, and he was willing to let me thrash his car around a little bit, and we're gonna do a couple pulls and see how the Miata stacks up. Thank you for letting me drive your 5-liter. This is literally worlds colliding right here. Mustangs and Miatas on Car Passion. I don't even know what's going on. I just wanted to try something different. I want to start uploading more videos. I know I had a blast doing it. I hope you had fun too, even though you got smoked.
Don't even remind me of that.
He's already erased it from his memory. So we'll check in with Raul. I'll throw him like on my Instagram story, like as he's doing like mods and whatever. But yeah, that's a wrap. Subscribe if you are new. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video. And I will see you in the next one. Peace out.